In almost any big city in the world, on the most expensive streets, you will see it. It is on handbags, luggage, and in front of stores. You will see two letters together, an L and a V. Next to them are a special flower and a star inside a diamond. This is more than just a logo. It is a symbol of money, high status, and luxury. This is Louis Vuitton. In 2024, it is the world's most valuable luxury brand. It is worth almost $130 billion. It is the most important brand in LVMH, a giant luxury company. LVMH was the first European company to be worth $500 billion in 2023. Celebrities carry its products and millions of people want them. They are now a big part of global culture. But this huge company did not start in a big office or on the stock market. It started with a boy. He was a 13-year-old who ran away from home. He had nothing but his clothes and a 300-mile walk in front of him. How did a boy from a small French village become so successful? How did he build a company that would define luxury for the whole world? This is the story of Louis Vuitton. It is a journey of ambition, new ideas, and the making of a modern legend.
The story starts on August 4th, 1821, in Anchy. Anchy is a small village in a mountain area of eastern France. This was a place with many forests and a lot of wood. People there had a long history of working hard and making things by hand. Louis Vuitton was born here. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a hat maker. So, from the beginning, farming and crafting were in his life. His family had been carpenters and millers for a long time. But his simple life changed because of a sad event. When Louis was only 10 years old, his mother died. His father married again very quickly. Young Louis had a very strict stepmother, and they did not get along. He was not happy with his life in the village. He wanted more, so he made a plan. He decided to go to Paris, the center of French culture and business. In the spring of 1835, when the weather was finally good, 13-year-old Louis Vuitton left his home. He was alone, and he walked. This journey is a very important part of his story. It was almost 300 miles, or 470 kilometers. It took him more than 2 years to finish the walk. To survive, he did many different small jobs. He worked anywhere he could and slept in barns or forests. He slowly made his way to Paris. This journey made him very strong, determined, and confident.
In 1837, at age 16, Louis Vuitton finally arrived in Paris. The city was in the middle of the Industrial Revolution. It was a city of amazing beauty and extreme poverty. For a young boy with no connections, it was a difficult place. But Vuitton found his way. He became an apprentice for a successful boxmaker named Monsieur Marichal. In the 19th century, this was a very good and respected job. These craftsmen were called les dérambleurs. They made special boxes that fit perfectly for the things inside, like dresses or art. They were also experts at packing things carefully. This was important because baggage was not handled gently back then. Vuitton quickly became known as one of the best box makers in Paris. His skills were noticed by the most important people in France. In 1852, Napoleon III became the Emperor of France. His wife was Empress Eugenie. The Empress was a powerful style icon in Europe. In 1853, Empress Eugenie hired Louis Vuitton as her personal boxmaker. She told him to pack the most beautiful clothes in an exquisite way. This job was the most important moment in his career. It was like a royal approval. It brought him many rich and royal customers. In 1854, Louis Vuitton got married and opened his own workshop. It was at 4 Rue Neuve des Capucines, in the heart of luxury Paris. A sign outside his shop said, "Securely packs the most fragile objects, specializing in packing fashions." The Louis Vuitton brand was born.
To understand Louis Vuitton's first great idea, you need to know how people traveled then. Journeys by carriage, steamship, or train were long and difficult. Luggage was often handled roughly. The common luggage was a heavy trunk made of wood and leather. These trunks all had a rounded or domed top. This was not for style, but for function. The curved top helped rainwater to run off. But this design became a problem with new ways of transport. Trains and steamships had special places for luggage. The domed top made the trunks impossible to stack. They slid around, wasted space, and could not be loaded safely. Louis Vuitton saw this problem very clearly. In 1858, he introduced a product that changed the luggage industry. His new trunk was very different. First, and most importantly, it had a flat top. This simple change was a brilliant idea. Now, trunks could be stacked neatly and securely. This design was perfect for the new age of travel. Second, Vuitton solved the water problem. Instead of heavy leather, he used a new material called Trianon canvas. This gray canvas was light, waterproof, and airtight. It protected the contents from water without needing a domed top. This made the flat top design possible. The trunk was lighter, stronger, and more practical. The flat-topped, canvas-covered trunk was a perfect mix of style and function. It became the model for all modern luggage.
The flat-top trunk was a huge success. Louis Vuitton's reputation grew even more. So many people wanted his new luggage that his small workshop was not enough. In 1859, he opened a much larger workshop in Asnières, a village near Paris. The location was chosen carefully, near the Seine River and a railway. This made it easy to transport materials and products. The Asnières workshop became the heart of the company. It started with 20 employees and grew to almost 100 by 1900. The Vuitton family even moved into a house built there. Today, the historic workshop is still open. But then, the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871 happened. When Vuitton returned to Asnières, his workshop was destroyed. His tools were stolen and his staff was gone. But Louis Vuitton did not give up. He showed the same determination that brought him to Paris as a boy. He immediately started to rebuild his business. Within months, he had rebuilt everything and opened a new, better store in Paris. This new store focused on luxury and international customers. But with success came a new problem: fake products. The simple gray Trianon canvas was easy to copy. To protect his brand, Vuitton started a new kind of innovation. He began to create new canvas patterns that were hard to copy. In 1872, he introduced a red and beige striped canvas. When that was copied, he changed it to a beige and brown stripe in 1876. Finally, in 1888, he created the famous damier canvas, a checkerboard pattern. Inside the pattern, he printed Marc L. Vuitton Déposé, which means L. Vuitton registered trademark. The brand's look was now connected to its fight against fakes.
On February 27, 1892, Louis Vuitton died at age 70. He left his company to his only son, Georges Vuitton. Georges had worked with his father for years. He had his father's spirit for new ideas, but he also had a modern vision. Georges wanted to make Louis Vuitton a global brand. In 1893, he took the company's products to the Chicago World's Fair. This was a very smart move. He was the only French travel goods seller there, and he sold everything. This introduced the brand to rich American families. But the problem of fake products continued. Even the special damier pattern was being copied. Georges needed something more complex and personal. In 1896, he created the ultimate protection, the Monogram canvas. This was not just a pattern. It was a tribute to his father. He used his father's initials, an L and a V, beautifully connected. He also added graphic symbols, a four-petaled flower, a four-pointed star, and the star inside a diamond. The design was detailed, symbolic, and very personal. The inspiration for these shapes came from Japanese art, which was popular in Europe at the time. By creating and patenting this complex design, Georges Vuitton did more than just fight fakes. He created one of the first and most famous designer logos in history. He was the first designer to put his brand so clearly on the outside of a product. In doing this, he invented the idea of the logo-based luxury item.
Georges Vuitton was great at branding, but he was also a brilliant inventor like his father. In the late 19th century, theft from luggage was a big problem. To solve this, Georges and his father developed a revolutionary new lock system. In 1886, they patented a clever lock with 2 spring buckles. Each lock had a unique, numbered key. A customer could have one key that opened all of their Vuitton luggage. The lock was so secure that they called it unpickable. It turned Louis Vuitton trunks into portable safes. But saying a lock is unpickable is one thing. Proving it is another. Georges Vuitton showed he was great at marketing. He was so confident in his lock that he made a public challenge. He challenged the one man who might be able to open it, Harry Houdini. In a newspaper ad, Georges Vuitton dared the famous American escape artist to break out of a locked Louis Vuitton box. This was a brilliant piece of marketing. The world's most famous escape artist against the world's most secure trunk. What happened? Houdini never accepted the challenge. His silence was the best advertisement Georges could have wished for. The lock's reputation became legendary. The challenge became a famous part of the brand story. That same lock system is so good, it is still used on Louis Vuitton trunks today.
As the world moved into the 20th century, travel became faster. People started using cars and airplanes more. This created a need for a new kind of luggage. The heavy, hard trunks were not good for a short trip by car or plane. Travelers needed something lighter and more flexible. The Vuitton family, now led by the third generation, Gaston Louis Vuitton, was ready to innovate again. This was when the brand moved from making trunks to making what we now call fashion accessories. In 1930, the company introduced the Keepall. This was a soft, large duffel bag, perfect for a weekend trip. It was very different from the brand's hard luggage. It was flexible and could be folded and packed inside a bigger suitcase. A few years later, in 1932, the company made a smaller version for daily use. It was first called the Express, but later became one of the most famous handbags ever, the Speedy. The Speedy was Louis Vuitton's first real handbag. It became a true fashion icon in 1965 because of a celebrity. The famous actress Audrey Hepburn asked for a smaller version of the Speedy. Louis Vuitton made the Speedy 25 just for her. Hepburn was photographed with it all the time, and the bag became legendary. Another classic bag from this time is the No, from 1932. A champagne maker asked for a stylish bag to carry 5 bottles of champagne without breaking them. Gaston Louis designed a bucket-shaped bag with a strong base and a drawstring. It could hold 4 bottles standing up and 1 in the middle upside down. The No became another accidental fashion icon.
The story of Louis Vuitton is mostly about success and new ideas. But, like many big European companies, its history has a dark and controversial part. We must talk about the difficult time of World War II and the German occupation of France. The details of this time were uncovered in a 2004 book called Louis Vuitton, a French saga. The book suggests that members of the Vuitton family collaborated with the Vichy government. This was the French government that worked with the Nazi occupiers. According to the book, the company set up a factory to make items that glorified the Vichy leader, Marshal Pétain. Also, during the occupation, the Louis Vuitton store in the city of Vichy was the only shop allowed to stay open in the hotel where the government was based. All other shops were closed. The author also reported that company documents from 1930 to 1945 were destroyed in a fire. When the book came out, the parent company, LVMH, had to respond. A company spokesman said it was ancient history from before LVMH owned the brand. He said, "We are diverse, tolerant, and all the things a modern company should be." Another spokesman said, "We don't deny the facts, but regrettably the author has exaggerated the Vichy episode." This chapter is a sad part of the brand's history. It is a reminder that even the most famous luxury brands can have difficult pasts.
After Georges Vuitton's death in 1936, his son Gaston Louis took over. Gaston Louis was a man with fine taste and a passion for art and travel. He led the company through the difficult times of the Great Depression and World War II. After the war, the company continued to make high-quality products. In 1959, Gaston developed a new, more flexible coating for the Monogram canvas. This was important for making soft-sided luggage and smaller leather goods. But even with these innovations, the company did not grow much in the decades after the war. The fast growth from the time of Louis and Georges had slowed down. The brand was famous and respected, but it seemed to be resting. The numbers show the story. By 1977, after almost 125 years, Louis Vuitton had only 2 stores in the whole world. Its yearly income was only about $14 million. It was a prestigious but small company. Louis Vuitton had become a sleeping giant. It had a great history and reputation for quality, but it was not a modern business. It was profitable, but small and not growing. This made it ready for a big change that would make it a global powerhouse.
The big change at Louis Vuitton started with an outsider. His name was Henry Racamier. He had married Odile Vuitton, a great-granddaughter of the founder. Racamier was a very experienced businessman who had run a successful steel company. In 1977, at age 65, he was ready to retire. But the Vuitton family was worried about the company's slow growth. They asked him for his advice and finally asked him to manage the company. At an age when most people stop working, Henry Racamier started an amazing new chapter. Racamier was a business genius. He saw that the biggest profits were in selling the products, not just making them. His plan was simple and direct: open stores all over the world. He began to change Louis Vuitton from a small maker into a global retail giant. Over the next 10 years, he opened more than 100 company-owned stores. He focused on growing markets like Japan and the United States. The results were amazing. The company that made $20 million in 1977 was making nearly $1 billion by 1987. In just one decade, Henry Racamier had turned the sleeping giant into a global luxury leader. He made the LV monogram famous worldwide. Louis Vuitton was no longer just a family business, it was a global force.
Henry Racamier's success created a new problem. Louis Vuitton was now a very profitable company, which made it a target for a takeover. To protect the company, Racamier arranged a merger in 1987. He combined Louis Vuitton with Moët Hennessy, the maker of famous champagne and cognac. The new company was called LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy. The idea was to create a luxury group too big to be taken over. But a power struggle started inside the new company. Racamier from Vuitton and Alain Chevalier from Moët Hennessy had different ideas. Racamier worried he would lose control, so he made a big mistake. He looked for an outside ally for help. He invited a young, smart, and very ambitious French investor named Bernard Arnault to invest in LVMH. Arnault was already known for his aggressive business style. He was called the Wolf in Cashmere because he looked sophisticated but was a predator in business. Inviting Arnault was like inviting a fox into a chicken house. Arnault did not want to be an ally. He wanted to be the conqueror. He started a plan to take over the company from the inside. He partnered with another company and bought a large number of LVMH shares. Soon, he became the biggest single shareholder. By 1989, he had enough power. He turned against Henry Racamier, the man who invited him in. After several boardroom battles, Arnault forced Racamier out of the company. On January 13, 1989, Bernard Arnault was elected chairman of LVMH. The Vuitton family had lost control of the company. The merger that was meant to protect Louis Vuitton had led to its capture. This was the end of Louis Vuitton as a family business and the beginning of its life as the star of a new corporate empire.
Under Bernard Arnault's control, Louis Vuitton was financially strong, but it was still just a luggage company. It was respected, but it was not seen as cool. It did not have a ready-to-wear clothing line. It was not a modern fashion house. In 1997, Bernard Arnault hired a young American designer named Marc Jacobs as the first-ever artistic director. Jacobs was known for being a rebel and a trendsetter. His job was to create clothing collections and turn Louis Vuitton into a true fashion leader. Jacobs's approach was to change the brand's most famous symbol, the monogram. He was told not to change the monogram, so of course, he changed it. He knew that to be relevant, he had to mix the brand with modern art and culture. He started amazing collaborations with artists. In 2001, he worked with New York artist Steven Sprouse. Sprouse defaced the classic bags with bright, neon green graffiti. It was a shocking mix of Paris luxury and downtown punk rock. It was a huge success and brought a new, young energy to the brand. In 2003, he had an even bigger success with Japanese artist Takashi Murakami. Murakami redesigned the classic brown monogram with 33 bright colors on a white or black background. The monogram multicolor bags became the it bag of the early 2000s. Every celebrity, like Paris Hilton and Madonna, had one. For 16 years, Marc Jacobs created incredible, theatrical fashion shows. He once built a full-size steam train inside the Louvre for a show. He turned Louis Vuitton's fashion show into a major cultural event. When he left in 2013, he had transformed a luggage maker into the most powerful and cool fashion brand in the world.
After Marc Jacobs, what was next for Louis Vuitton? LVMH decided to split the creative direction. They appointed different visionary designers to continue the brand's evolution. For womenswear, Nicolas Ghesquière was appointed in 2013. He was known for his futuristic work at Balenciaga. His vision for Louis Vuitton was more architectural and intellectual. His work explores the idea of a powerful, heroic modern woman. He created new iconic bags like the Petite Malle, a small handbag that looks like a miniature Louis Vuitton trunk. In 2018, the company made a historic choice for its menswear division, Virgil Abloh. Abloh was the founder of the popular streetwear brand Off-White. He was the first African-American to be artistic director at Louis Vuitton. His impact was huge. Abloh mixed the worlds of luxury and streetwear. He made Louis Vuitton popular with a younger, more diverse audience. His shows celebrated Black culture and creativity. He also worked to promote Black talent within the company. His sad death from cancer in 2021 was a great loss. But his legacy of inclusivity and cultural conversation changed the brand forever. To follow Abloh, LVMH again looked outside of traditional fashion. In February 2023, they announced that musician and cultural icon Pharrell Williams would be the new men's creative director. This choice showed that Louis Vuitton wants to stay at the center of culture. Pharrell's first show in June 2023 was a huge event on the Pont Neuf Bridge in Paris. It symbolized the connection between the brand's French roots and Williams's cultural background. This confirms Louis Vuitton's identity as a cultural maison, where fashion, art, and music meet.
Today, more than 170 years after it started, the Louis Vuitton empire is bigger than ever. It has gone from one man's workshop to the leader of the global luxury market. Financially, it is very powerful. In 2024, it was named the most valuable luxury brand in the world for the 18th year in a row. Its brand value is about $130 billion. But to understand Louis Vuitton's position, we need to look at its rivals. The competition between Louis Vuitton and Hermès is a battle of different ideas. Louis Vuitton wants to be seen everywhere, to be a globally recognized symbol. Hermès uses a strategy of relentless scarcity. Hermès is famous for what you cannot get. You cannot just buy its famous Birkin and Kelly bags. They are offered only to loyal clients, which makes them feel extremely exclusive. Then there is Goyard. If Hermès is quiet luxury, Goyard is almost silent luxury. It does not sell products online, it does not advertise much, and it has very few stores. Owning a Goyard bag is like being in a secret club. The LV monogram is a global statement, while the Goyard pattern is a quiet whisper. Finally, there is the battle between the big companies, LVMH versus Kering. Kering owns brands like Gucci and Saint Laurent. But LVMH's strategy, led by Bernard Arnault, is seen as more stable and long-term. This gives Louis Vuitton the strong support of a well-managed group. This shows Louis Vuitton's unique position. It has become a huge global brand, but has also kept the feel of a top-level luxury house. It is a very difficult and very profitable balancing act.
So, we come back to where we started. We look at that famous monogram. But now, we know it is not just a pattern. It is a story. It is the story of a 13-year-old boy's long walk across France. It is the story of a packer who was trusted by an empress. It is the story of an inventor who created the future of travel with a flat-topped trunk. It is the story of a family that built a global brand while fighting fakes. A family that survived wars and difficult choices. It is the story of a sleeping giant, woken up by a businessman, then captured in a boardroom battle by the wolf in Kashmir. And it is the story of a cultural giant, reinvented by artists, streetwear designers, and music stars. The history of Louis Vuitton is a history of being strong and resilient. It is a story about the balance between handcrafting and corporate size, between being timeless and being trendy. Its most famous designs were created to solve practical problems and to fight fakes. Its power comes from its ability to adapt and shape the culture of its time. In a world of fast fashion, the house that Louis Vuitton built is a symbol of an enduring journey. The final question is simple. Can a brand built on travel, that has journeyed for almost 2 centuries, continue to lead the way for 2 more? Or will the forces of global culture finally change its path forever?